Oh, hey guys, Steve for Movies and TVs on the Ball, and I was wondering what your thoughts are on the Mummy films, starting out from the 1930s Mummy film from Universal Horror, with Bela Lugosi as the main character, and how, at the time that film was to be very scary and very kind of its time, if you will, and that kind of face, that kind of look. I talked about the Mummy before, but I wanted to kind of discuss and talk about the Mummy from the Brendan Fraser films more in detail than I did in my last video that I did last year, where I discussed, how that film made it more of a 90s action film, where it was more about the action film of sort of the kind of adventure, kind of had an Indiana Jones feel to it, kind of mystery and lore, and dealt with stuff. And that the first one I felt like had a really kind of balanced the horror element of the 60s or the 30s Mummy, and also like a rip-roaring Indiana Jones type film. Then you had The Mummy Returns, where I felt like The Mummy Returns, it's a good movie, but it felt more of like, it went too action and not enough horror. It still had the beetles that crawled on your skin, inside your skin, and it's had a really cool, they did the same thing with the sand face that the Mummy made, and then they did in the sequel kind of a water thing. Then you had Mummy 3, Tomb of the Dragon Empire, which was more creative than anything. I think it kind of worked in its own perspective of the third Mummy, where it dealt more with China and Chinese lore and kind of not samurai, but like Chinese soldiers. And it had Jet Li, which was kind of nice to see back into a film, since I saw him in, I think before that, being Expendables, and it was a pretty good one. And then I think that film series made Brendan Fraser a household name. Then you had, I'll give it maybe the fourth Mummy film, or fifth Mummy film if you want to call it, the original Mummy. As a starter, I feel like the Tom Cruise film had a lot more take on this sort of building a cinematic universe. I think it had Russell Crowe played Dr. Jekyll, and he had to take like a serum, and they were trying to build into a cinematic universe, but it felt miserable. It didn't feel miserably, but I felt like, kind of did. It might have some really good ideas, but it just didn't execute them very well. But let me know what your thoughts are on the Brendan Fraser Mummy, The Mummy Returns, and the original Mummies and the new Mummy. As always, like and subscribe. Peace.